Australian rules football? In the U.S.? That's right. The United States Australian Football League is in a city near you. Go to USAFL.com, find your team, check them out. We're a group full of men and women just like you. Join us for the fun athletic competition. Stay for the camaraderie.
We are the champions!
Log on and sign up to join your team at USAFL.com.
Hello and welcome to Lakewood Ranch in Florida, the premier sports campus for the 2019 United States Australian Football League National Championships. We're here on Field 2 for the Women's Division 2 Grand Final. It is the DC Eagles versus the Philadelphia Lady Hawks. Now, being Division 2, that means both sides do have assistance from other sides to try and get the full squad numbers together. We play normally 18-a-side in Aussie Rules football, but for this tournament, we are playing 16-a-side with a bench usually of up to about 6 players. For the DC Eagles, they are joined by players from the Des Moines Roosters, the Arizona Outlaws, and one player who was a DC Eagles player, now a Hawaiian Eagle player in Susan Swig. For the Philadelphia Hawks, they're wearing the white jumper, as you can see to the left of screen. They're joined by players from the Arizona Hawks, the Boston Demons, and the Baltimore Dockers. So a bit of rivalry on 2 points here. First of all, with the Arizona having 2 sides, the Hawks and Outlaws being represented on either side. And of course, the DC Eagles used to be the Baltimore-Washington Eagles. Of course, they split. It was an amicable split to try and grow football in the region. And therefore, you got the DC Eagles on one side and Baltimore helping Philadelphia on the other side. So plenty of pride on the line in this Women's Division 2 Grand Final. The Philadelphia Lady Hawks won the Division 2 Grand Final a couple of years ago when they teamed up with the Portland Sockeyes. It wasn't a Grand Final that year, it was just a round-robin competition, but because we've got to 6 teams in the Women's Division 2 this year, we've had 2 pools of 3, had semi-finals, and we've ended up with DC and Philadelphia in this Grand Final. Philadelphia will be going to the right of screen, as I said earlier, wearing the white jumpers, and wearing the blue jumpers of the DC Eagles going to left of screen for this half. I'm Peter Holden. It's great to have your company. We're all in readiness. Umpire raises the ball aloft, waits for the hooter. Doesn't quite hear it, so he might blow the whistle to get things going. And he does. Now, in this format, we do play straight 20-minute halves with no time on for goals or the ball going out of bounds, unless, of course, there is an injury which they may decide to stop the clock, depending on the seriousness of said injury. Normally in Aussie Rules football, we play 4 quarters with time on, stoppages for ball ups, the ball going out of bound, and for scores. So as they try and move on, Erica Sacchi just got absolutely rolled over there. The umpire said it was fair play on. It will come out towards the wing side of the ground. I can see lurking around there for the DC Eagles, a player to keep your eye on, Joanna Gleason wearing the number 5 today. Towards the half-forward flank position, trying to get a boot to ball there was Cassie Cox of the Arizona Hawks playing for Philadelphia today. Umpires pulled out a free kick and signalled it the way of Philadelphia. As Cox will go back. She's a long way out from goal. I think Taylor Dugan's standing on the mark there. She's about 55 metres out from goal. Kicks it in towards the forward 50. Just bubbled around off hands. No one with clear possession. Trying to run through there was the player in the number 15. Apologies that the numbers are out of order here on this DC Eagles sheet. And Amanda Mora, who's from the Arizona Hawks. One player to keep an eye on today. Another player to watch who just dropped the mark then and get bowled over. Wearing the number 6 there was Katie Ree. Now, Katie Ree, of course, we should point out, from the Boston Demons, also does a bit of media in the area. And she's got a great Twitter handle called The Retweet. So keep an eye on that if you're ever online, The Retweet from Catherine Ree of the Boston Lady Demons. Ball on the far side of the ground. Eagles will send it towards the half-forward flank. Over the head there of Kendall Jennings, who had been dominant in the earlier rounds and semi-finals. Taking the mark back there was the one and only Danielle Marshall. Now, Danielle Marshall is the first American woman out of the United States Australian Football League to sign a professional contract in the AFL Women's competition. She'll be playing for the Western Bulldogs in 2020. Just recently, she was over there during the winter playing in the VFL Women's competition. Now, technically, the first player out of the USAFL to be signed to a AFL Women's team was Jessica Wichner. She's an Australian, but she played for the Boston Lady Demons back around 2015 at the USAFL Nationals. DC Eagles attack now towards their half forward, again looking for Jennings. She was caught behind on this occasion, trying to knock the ball forward. Holberstadt tried to get in there, couldn't get the football out. Hurry kick around the corner. I think that's Melissa Armstrong, who won a grand final on this ground 3 years ago for the San Francisco Moines. Pardon me, it wasn't a grand final, it was a regular match, but they took out the championship. It was almost like a grand final when they played the Denver Lady Bulldogs. The winner of that game was going to take out the Division 1 title. That was an unbelievable game in blustery conditions as the ball goes over the boundary line and out of bounds. Pressure being applied there by Angel Bishop from the Arizona Hawks, and we'll call for a ball in. Lurking around there, you can see wearing the number 17, Alex Trollope of the DC Eagles. The umpire will be asked to throw the ball back into play and try again. Umpire throwing it in from the boundary line. Some differences here in the US game compared to the semi-professional game being played back in Australia in the AFL Women's competition, where if the ball goes out of bounds between the 250-metre arcs, that's along the wing position, it's a last disposal rule, so the opposition will get a free kick as opposed to a ball in if the ball just dribbles over the boundary line and out of bounds. And the boundary umpire will actually come 10 metres back into play and throw it back in, opposed to what the umpires are doing here, which is more of the traditional way, which is essentially from the line itself, throwing the ball back in. Punched away by Marshall. Saki was lurking nearby, trying to pick it up there. I think it was Anna Bailey. Saki comes away with it. Saki on the right boot, driving Philadelphia towards the centre of the ground. Quick spin out of trouble. DC Eagles will send it back from once it came. Taken away here by Danielle Marshall. Whoop, came off the knee. That was a interesting approach. Getting it back there, the number 40, Kristen Lau. She's got it towards half forward. Marshall went to ground. Hurry kick around the corner. And close towards the boundary line. Going in the layer tackle. Molly Holberstadt. Squeezed out. Going to ground there, Taylor Dugan. Hurry kick around the corner. Taylor Dugan now, should I say. Just at her feet. Melissa Armstrong nearby. Oh, Marshall again. Like a hot knife through butter. Just weaved through them. And kicked it long towards the wing. Not much really on there. They've got some numbers back there, DC, cutting across that midway point of the wing. And they've done well to repel. Teresa Segal was the original one to set it all up. Marshall was there, came off her hands. Jennings went to ground. Marshall went for the soccer skills, overran the pill on that occasion. Alexandra Clayton had tried to get in there for the DC Eagles. Cleared out by Philadelphia. And going for a bit of a run here, if you don't mind, Cassie Cox. Goes towards half forward. Ball's on the deck, in dispute. Diane Walsh wanted to get in there from Boston. Ball's kicked out by DC. Oh, geez, that was a bit harsh. Umpire won't pay for in the back. I thought it was by Trollope. Accidental, but should have been there. Umpire's put out a free kick now. And going the way of the Philadelphia Hawks. As I mentioned earlier, Philadelphia teaming up players from the Arizona Hawks, Boston Demons and the Baltimore Dockers. DC teaming up with players from Des Moines Roosters, Arizona Outlaws, and one player from the Hawaii Eagles. And we do have a player down behind play who seems to be injured now. Our clock will keep ticking. It's a clock that we've set to tick upwards. And as I mentioned earlier, normally it would be a 20-minute half, but obviously that may go on because the clock's being stopped. They may add time to this half. So our clock, see that as unofficial. As we wait, let's just hope that that the possible injury there is just a bit of a knock, something sore that hopefully isn't too serious. Players are taking the opportunity to take a drink while they can. Very, very hot conditions we've had here in Florida this weekend. Cooled down a bit on the Saturday afternoon with a nice breeze coming through, but it has been very dry and very hot into the afternoon here. And that really tests the depth of each side. some sides, particularly in the Division 1, do come with a short bench. And even though in mild conditions, you'll be fine with that in a short game. In these hot conditions, you really do need a deep bench and plenty of reserves through the tournament to keep rotating players through, because the heat will come into play at some stage. May hear at some stage the speaker go in the background as well. The main field, Cooper's Field, is to the left of us. We're on ESPN 3. They'll be having the Women's Division 1 Grand Final and the Men's Division 3, 2 and 1 Grand Finals respectively. Player being escorted into the golf cart, and they'll take her off to the medical tent to be assessed. As I said, let's just hope it's nothing too serious. Let's hope it's a bit of a knock or a sprain, something that doesn't hamper their footy for next year, and still allows them to be in a state where they can go and enjoy the party later on at Siesta Key. Great hospitality being put on for us here at Lakewood Ranch, Florida, and all around the Sarasota-Bradenton area. So we've lost about 2 minutes of play so far. Well, the clock's ticked for 2 minutes. If the umpire has blown time on, that means we'll get that added onto the 20. No score either side yet. We're at the Women's Division 2 Grand Final. This is the second time the National Championships have been held here at the Premier Sports Campus. Last time back in 2016. As the golf cart takes the player off the ground, the Portland Sockeyes, along with help from players such as from the Seattle Grizzlies and from Tampa Bay, won the Division 2 title here in 2016. And for the San Francisco Iron Maidens, their first in what's been a run of 3 national championships so far. They began here in 2016 at Lakewood Ranch, Florida. The umpire just making sure that the card is off the ground and all's in readiness, and players will recommence play again. Marshall is going into the ruck, as you can see here. Looks like now is Jennings going up against her or off the ball. Just watch very closely here. Saki we can see just on the ball, and watching her very closely is the 13 of Mackenzie Medlin. Be an interesting matchup. Also on the ball, Amanda Mora from the Arizona Outlaws, or the DC Eagles. Umpire holds the ball aloft to restart play. And in fact, it's going to be Gleason versus Marshall. Trying to weave in there was Terse. Couldn't get her way through heavy traffic. Emily Rice and the Des Moines Roosters for DC got it across there to the 17 in Trollope, whose kick was cut off by Melissa Armstrong. Armstrong has represented the USA Freedom before at the International Cup. But her kick was picked off, and the DC Eagles will send it back over the head. Lurking around there is Meter. Couldn't get there, but her teammate Medlin did. Bumped off the football on that occasion, Moira. Saki on the right. Sky high was the football. It was dropped in the end by Cassie Cox, who had to go back and get it under pressure. Emily Rice is there. Rice trying to sift through and see if she can pick up the football. Can't do so. When she did, she was immediately caught. And the umpire says that's no prior opportunity. We'll call for a ball up. There's the punch forward. Just dribbles along. Meter tries to go in there. Taps the ball in front of herself. Couldn't pick it up. Marshall comes in there, lays the tackle. And the umpire says it's a reset play. No score either side. Well, the clock shows 11 minutes gone, but we lost about 3.5 to 4 minutes due to injury. Marshall punches it forward again, intercepted, hand pass over the top. Her little kick away goes nowhere, just straight to the ground. Kicking around the corner again, Emily Rice, the Des Moines Roosters, try to put it in the direction of Miriam Mita, who had it momentarily. Now the ball towards the half forward. Came off hands, read well here, struck the tackle. Hurry kick. Works out okay. Lindsay Terse again goes for a run. Terse's kick, a bit of a spiral. Almost hit the water carriers. They try to get off the ground. Hand pass is Lau, who moved it long. It was a great setup kick there by Moira to go inside 50. Put the Hawks defence under all kinds of pressure. Try to jump in there, Samantha Worrell. The Baltimore Dockers playing for Philadelphia. The umpire says it's going nowhere, ball up. Trollope was on the bottom of that pack. Gleeson versus Marshall again. Gleeson wins it. Marshall tried to get a hurry kick out. Picked off. Trollope around on the right. Bounced away from Marshall, who tried to position herself then. Hurry kick out towards the half-forward flank. Amanda Morrow goes chasing after the football. Oh, good run down. Umpire said no. Fair hand pass out. Play on. DC Eagles send it back inside their half. Marshall hands up. On towards the boundary line. Olivia Husing was there from the Arizona Hawks playing for Philadelphia today. The umpire will ask for the ball back. That's the difference at the moment between Division 1 and Division 2 sides. Division 1 sides are made up solely of players from the one club, while for Division 2, these sides are made up of sides that couldn't get the full complement, the full squad, which would be at least 16 on the side and some bench players. So they're ably assisted by players from other clubs. In fact, DC Eagles numbers have been very strong, and if they keep recruiting as they are, they should have enough to go up to Division 1 next year, which would be very exciting for women's football in that region, particularly in the east, because the west have been very strong with numbers, the west coast, and we certainly need to see some stronger representation at Division 1 from the eastern seaboard. Umpires blown the whistle and said it's a free kick going the way of the DC Eagles. Laying on the ground there, Amanda Mora. In fact, on the Division 1 side of things, is like try and go through my mind just here, the real flying the flag hope in Division 1 for women's football has been the New York Magpies, where the other five are from the other side of the country when we talk about Minnesota, Denver, Portland, Seattle and San Francisco. So if DC can get to that Division 1 status, that'd be very, very exciting for women's football in the East, and hopefully maybe Philadelphia can join them at Division 1 status at some stage down the track. Good mark taken here by Alex Trollope inside the 50. She's going back and considering a shot. It'd be very difficult from this distance. Comes in, unloads. Off the boot, off hands, and I think it's Armstrong who's just got back there, who's kicked it around the corner to try and come out of defence. Saki, best of speed. The Philadelphia veteran gets on the right boot, comes towards the centre circles in the middle of the ground. Pressure being applied there by Bros. Pardon me, not Bros rather, it was Segal. And then taken away there by the number 16 and Sobral. Towards the half-forward flank, Miriam Meads got run down. Umpire says holding the football. Free kick going the way of the Philadelphia Hawks. And I think that's Samantha Worrell, who's got the footy there. She goes for a nice little chip pass. Works out okay, staying wide, maintaining possession. No score either side yet in this grand final. No team giving an inch. Good sliding mark there. Looking by the shorts, I think that might be Emily Rice who took that. Rice goes up the line. Come off hands. Work from Armstrong, who did the spoiling there against her opponent, the number 13 in Mackenzie Medlin, which in the end forced that, forced the ball and getting a free kick out of it. Melissa Wilhelm, should I say. I keep saying Armstrong. My apologies. I'm used to saying Melissa Armstrong, but of course she's now Melissa Wilhelm. My apologies, Melissa. As coming through there, the Philadelphia Hawks with a long kick. And the ball will just dribble over the boundary line and out of bounds. Seen over by the number 7 in the end for the DC Eagles. Might be Hannah Bailey. Don't quite have that 7 there on my sheet. As the umpire actually pulled out a free kick, pardon me. That's going the way here of Philadelphia. The long kick across the face. And we'll go out of bounds. We'll call for a throw-in. As we wait for the ball to be thrown back into play. You can hear the men's Division 3 grand final going on in the background at the same time. Looking to the Women's Division 1 Grand Final coming up later on, where San Francisco is playing Seattle in that one for the second year in a row. Jennings trying to bust her way through. Ball came, dropped it in the end. Gonna see, I think it was. Going after it there. The Eagles get it out only as far as Marshall, who's pushed up the ground. Marshall went right, then went left. Sold the candy beautifully, and that's a great kick. Finding Melissa Wilhelm. Again, apologies, Melissa, for saying Melissa Armstrong earlier. Melissa Wilhelm now. She was Melissa Armstrong when she won that grand final on this ground 3 years ago, but now Melissa Wilhelm, and also had an addition to the family during the year. Congratulations, Melissa. There's a harried hand pass out. Plenty of effort on that ball. It finds Jennings, and it's new additions to some of the families here. We know that for the Denver Lady Bulldogs, retired was Lindsay Kastanek, because her and her partner Haley have a baby due soon. And on the New York side of things, congratulations to Drake Casillas, who I think something like about 8 weeks ago had her second son in Atlas. I think about 18, 19 years apart from her first son. Super effort, superhuman effort there by Dre, who's managed to have her child 8 weeks ago and show up for this tournament. New York, of course, got through to the semi-finals, which is an improvement on some of their past performances. Shows they're in the right direction. Just fell to Seattle, but shows they're a threat to be reckoned with in tournaments to come. Here's the long kick up the line. Try to find their Tretchler. Or maybe kicking in danger there. Players' hands were on the ball when the player ran through. To explain those watching Aussie Rules for the first time, if the player has their hands on the ball and you go to kick it while that ball is on the ground, that is known as in danger. And that's to protect that player. As we see coming away with the ball now is Trollope for DC. Oh, good mark. And just puts the hands up, says that ball is mine. Alexander Clayton says, everyone, stay away from me. I have the ball and this is my kick. Clayton looks to drive DC deep. And Jennings with an interesting, I don't know if it was a punch or an attempt at the mark because she got shoved at the last second, but Marshall took it away in the end and tried to find Casey Troy, and she went over the boundary line and out of bounds. And the ball might have gone over before she touched it, so it's out of bounds on the full, and that means a free kick going the way of the DC Eagles. Alex Trollope. Trollope with the footy. She is outside the 50. Kicks it, just trying to square it up, looking for Dugan, got knocked out of it by Wilhelm. Wilhelm kicked it straight into the player. He's on the mark there, hurry kick, dribbles and over the boundary line and out of play. So we'll call for a throw in. We're probably about 40 metres out from goal. Saki doing the ruck work against Gleeson, brought it to ground. Well, stolen out of the back. Hurried shot on goal. How does that look? It is through for only a minor score. But that gives the lead nonetheless to the DC Eagles. They go to one behind. Philadelphia, no score. And on the time clock, we have gone 20 minutes already. So we have stepped into injury time due to the stretcher earlier, and we could be looking at about 3.5, 4 minutes by my calculation. As the kick is long and intercepted on this occasion by Kristen Lau. Lau on the left boot, goes towards centre half forward. Marshall steps across and takes the mark. Danielle Marshall, second year playing Aussie Rules. Was the Division 2 best and fairest last year. So Wilhelm kicked up the ground. Now, is that a downfield free kick out with afterwards? Or what's the... No, gave it away afterwards. Interesting decision. So it will be a free kick going the way of the DC Eagles here. It happened off camera, so we didn't quite get the full look at that. I think it's Medlin who's kicked the ball forward. Looking for Jennings, straight through her hands. Marshall will come away with the ball, though. Marshall on the right boot. Up the line. Mark taken here again for the DC Eagles. A tense, low-scoring affair. DC one behind. Philadelphia, no score. In comes Saki. Brings the player down. Bubbled around. Tritcher or Trichler, should I say. Moved inside 50. Trying to get a hand pass away. No, dropping the ball. Good tackle laid on there. And I think it was by Lauren Kelly. She'll take the resulting free kick for the Philadelphia Hawks. The kick a bit wobbly. Hopperstad tried to come in and cut it off, but found its intended target. Here's the ball now up the line on the right. Oh, just at the feet there of Stablin. Oh, she's caught by Trollope right up against the boundary line. Umpire's blown the whistle and says a free kick. She's protesting was a hand pass. The umpire says, no, 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 that's a throw. Alex Trollope has the footy at the half-forward flank. King to left of screen. Looks to let rip with a long kick towards the pocket. Went over the head of Jennings, and Gleeson got a hand to it. Forces the ball over the boundary line and out of bounds, and they'll reset play. So we've gone roughly 2.5 minutes into what we're dubbing injury time, when the clock stopped, officially at least, earlier with the injury. The player had to be taken off on the golf cart. Again, our clock is unofficial. It will count up to the 20. And then not account for any injury time added on by the umpires, as we wait for the ball to be thrown back into play. Ball just bounces around. No ruck with the footy. Jennings there trying to put a hand in. Dugan as well. Exaki over around the footy. Umpire says too high. Free kick. And the hooter sounds for half-time. Now, of course, what happens here in Aussie Rules, if you take a mark or you get a free kick before the hooter sounds and you haven't played on, and then the hooter sounds, you have the chance to go back and have a kick. No matter where you are on the field, she's within scoring range, so she's electing to have a kick. As long as she doesn't play on, it's legal. And it's a bit of a grubber. Now, it wasn't quite stopped. The umpires are going to have a chat. I thought that might have been a point, because if it dribbles and it's not touched and it goes through, it will count, but the umpire is saying no. It will not count as a score. The umpire has the final say. DC Eagles, one behind. Philadelphia, no score.
My first game, I stood there and I was just like, I don't know what's happening, but I'm just gonna run. I just kept going, and I kept going to practice, I kept going to the games, and eventually it just clicked. And I was just like, oh, I get it now, like this is fun.
Aussie Rules, is also known as footy, is the equivalent of like the NFL here, and so in Australia they call it AFL.
So in Australia it's still a huge sport, especially for the women. It's getting even bigger.
It's empowering for women, young women.
It's really great to just be able to run around and just have so much fun with a bunch of people that love the same sport that you do.
It just gives me this energy that I just can't describe, and it just brings me like so much joy.
It's a great physical outlet, but also the people that we play with are just so amazing.
These are the girls that if you want to dress up and go out, they'll be there for you. If you want to be in your sweatpants all day and eat chocolate and watch Netflix, they're also there for you.
I think that this sport has something for everyone.
I just feel like anyone and everyone should try it, give it a go, and just see if they like it.
If you're watching this video, it's not by accident. This is for you.
This is the Women's Division II Grand Final here at Lakewood Ranch in Florida, between the DC Eagles and the Philadelphia Hawks. We're not too far away from beginning the second half. Umpire holds the ball aloft, and we are underway. 20 minutes to go in Women's Division II. Who will take home the title? A hurry kick away by the DC Eagles. They're now going to the right of screen. DC Eagles wearing blue, wearing the white. The Philadelphia Hawks, they're going to the left of screen as Barbara Dempsey, the oldest player on the Philadelphia Hawks side, moves it forward to Casey Troy. Goes the hand pass to Saki. That's a good mark up the line. Philadelphia are yet to score in this grand final. Here's the kick towards the top of the 50. Great mark. Abigail Meklas with the footy from the Arizona Hawks, playing for Philadelphia today. Oh, it's a finger tipper. Great mark taken. Pulling it in, Cassie Cox of the Arizona Hawks. She's going to be having a shot on goal from about 40 metres out, directly in front. Kicks, and it looks pretty good. And they're in front. Wowee. What a way to start this second half. Philadelphia, one straight 6. The DC Eagles, one behind. And you can put that one down to Cassie Cox. Directly in front, went back, had a crack, and put her side 5 points up. As you can see, only about a minute and a half gone. Plenty of time, obviously, for DC to respond. But what a positive way to start. Here's the hurry kick for the DC Eagles, looking for Jennings. And Wilhelm brings it aground. And the umpire says, oh, sling tackle too high. Free kick. It's the responsibility of the tackling player. Make sure that the player that they're bringing to ground isn't slung or taken high. And on this occasion, the umpire said it was a little bit too reckless from Wilhelm, saying that Julie must have been just as it came down, maybe the arm got over the shoulder there and said it was too high for his liking. And Jennings is going to get up, feeling a little bit worse for wear there, feeling the neck, maybe a bit of whiplash. Get some water. And we'll get the ball back. Now, if a player is injured, they are able to give the ball immediately to a nearest teammate. But that player then has to immediately leave the ground if they do so, if they, of course, feel that they're unable to take the kick. And this occasion, Jennings thinks that after a drink she's right, and she's thinking about unloading a bomb from a distance. Gives it a ride, but it's going to fall halfway. Trying to get in there, Angel Bishop. Wilhelm takes out another player again. She's being a wrecking ball in the first couple of minutes of this second half. Kick around the corner. Moira goes towards the top of the goal square. 3-on-1, numbers favouring the Hawks. Meter goes in there. Sliding on hands and knees. Hurry kick along the carpet. DC looking just for some open space. Worrell put on a good tackle. Miriam Meter on the ground trying to put a leg out to put boot to ball. Didn't work out. Ball, cry the crowd. Umpire's not buying into it. Lurking around on the outside, Halberstadt, and the umpire will ask for the football back. Right on the goal square here for the DC Eagles. They trail by 5 points in the second half of this Women's Division 2 Grand Final. Peter Holden with you on commentary for the United States Australian Football League. And Peter was there, saw the ball squeeze out. Knocked along by Cassie Troy. Now stepping back and having a crack around the corner. I think might have been Hannah Bailey to try and square it up. Umpire's pulled out a free kick. And says it's going the way of the DC Eagles, Alex Trollope. Now she's a long way out from home. She's going to need a tall on the goal square. She's going to need a Jennings or a Gleason back there. Trollope. Close the player on the mark, swings the kick, and umpires paid a mark. And that was taken back there by Barbara Dempsey, right on the last line of defence. Dempsey for the Philadelphia Hawks. Sees Marshall out towards the pocket, floats it. Marshall just has enough time to take the mark while feeling the heat, while feeling the pressure from an Alex Clayton that was fast coming at her. Goes wide to Lindsay Terse. Terse with a footy. Looks to play on. Gives the hand pass off to Marshall, who goes for a run. Then kicks it long up the wing position. Run in front of our camera spot. Kick up the line, one bounce, Rice is there, takes it, gets on the boot, comes in, board, had two. They couldn't quite work it out between themselves as Halberstadt went in there. Meter was right off the side of the pack. If they could get it to her, I think Niche was around there. Now got it to Halberstadt. Halberstadt kicks it inside 50. Jennings was calling forward as she was running on by. Got brought down. Ball they cry. The umpire's thrown the whistle away. Says he's not paying it. Trollope went through. Couldn't get there. Melissa Wilhelm immediately caught. Put into the ground. In goes Jennings. Jennings on the right boot. Empty goal square. The ball is bouncing. And Jennings has put the Eagles up. Smart thinking there by Jennings, just to slam it on the boots, realising everyone from Philadelphia got sucked into following the ball. No one was home on the last line of defence, and all she had to do was just dribble it through. And the lead changes here at Lakewood Ranch in Florida. DC Eagles 1-1-7, Philadelphia 1 straight 6. 1 point the difference, Eagles in front. Still plenty of time in this second half to be played out. As we said, the early lead for the half went for the Hawks. The Eagles have taken it back. Saki is immediately caught on this occasion by the number 13 in Medlin. Mackenzie Medlin. Gets on the right boot, swings it towards the half-forward flank. Ball is dropped. Dugan dancing around, dancing. Gets on the left boot, drives it inside 50. Jennings going again, Wilhelm going with her. Jennings trying to use the bigger body to the advantage. Oh, that could be a throw. And that will be a free kick to Melissa Wilhelm. Wilhelm playing in defence when normally she'd be like a half-back flanker midfielder. This time playing deep pocket, trying to keep that lockdown role on Jennings, which is an interesting tactic. Mark taken here. And the DC Eagles will try and attack forward, this time going through Emily Rice from the Des Moines Roosters. Playing today for the DC Eagles. Rice on the right boot. Goes inside, not quite inside 50, just ended up going out again after an attempted mark that was spoilt. Umpire says that's a throw against Trollope. And it will be a free kick going the way of Lindsay Terse, who asks for the football back. Terse has the footy. Plays on quickly. Oh, drew the player and danced the other way. Terse goes towards the half-forward flank. One-on-one contest. The support arrives and she pushes. It's like a domino effect. She went to push one player and she knocked over two in the one go. Whoops. As Trollope goes to ground and will call for a ball up. And we'll reset the play. Lurking around the football there is Angel Bishop. Crowd cheering for Eagles, you can hear in the background as Marshall does the ruck work. Eagles lead by a point. Ball bouncing around awkwardly there, trying to slap it down. Tritchler. Saki wants to go back. Oh, Halberstadt came through. Halberstadt got the hand pass out, picked off though. Welch kicks it in towards the middle of the ground. By chasing after the football. Pardon me, it's not Pike rather, it was Medlin. Medlin's knocked it on. Now trying to get there is Lau. Kristen Lau kicks it inside 50. Can she find the mark? No, it was the fingertips and it didn't quite hold. Halberstadt comes in there, lays the tackle, offering support for Clayton, and the umpire will call for a ball. At the moment, time is the DC Eagles' friend. They've got a good 10 minutes to go in this grand final, but they hold the lead by a point. And as long as they keep it down their end of the field, they'll be taking home the D2 Cup. Tried to get a hurry kick out of there was Casey Troy. Ball cry the crowd. The umpire not blowing the whistle there. Saki got to get around the player, and Dugan does well, goes up the line. Ree can't quite get onto the football. The ball goes over the boundary line and out of bounds. Of course, the Boston Demons train out at John Merkley Park in Boston. Had the privilege of going by their ground to take a look. They weren't training at the time, but very big field out there by the beach and not too far from downtown Boston. Let's hope they get more numbers. They can grow that women's program out there at Boston. Great to see their men's playing in the D3 Grand Final as well. Some positive signs there for footy in the northeast of the United States. Two players down there after a bit of a heavy clash. Umpire making sure they're okay. Now, I don't think the clock stopped. I think we're still ticking, as opposed to earlier when we stopped the clock for the golf cart that was required. As time is still ticking here. Down, I think it's the player. I think it might have been Rhea that we're talking about that might be feeling a bit worse for wear. From the number I can see just on the angle of the screen. Let's have a look. Player just getting to her feet now. Yep. As scoreboard there indicates, 1-1-7 to 1 straight 6. It's DC Eagles with the lead. Clock's ticked past 11 minutes here. And I don't believe we've stopped time. So we've lost about 35-40 seconds in play. As Marshall did the ruck. Coming across there is Lau, whose kick was intercepted. Now running through there was Bishop, immediately caught and ball. They cry. The umpire gives a free kick to the DC Eagles. You see the DC Eagles bench just there in the distance. Them cheering on their players crazily. Taking the mark is Alex Trollope. She says, "Go long!" And that's what they'll do. On the right boots. Kicks it deep, and there's a mark! Great mark there for the DC Eagles. I think it might have been Clayton that's taken that. And I tell you what, I think a goal might be enough to put the Philadelphia Hawks away. She unloads. It's away to the left. And will register as a minor score. They extend the lead by 2 points. 1-2-8 to 1 straight 6. As here's the kick back into play. Oh, geez, it was dangerous there for Cassie Cox. Managed to get around her opponent. And the ball will dribble over the boundary line and out of bounds. So a 2-point lead, but all Philadelphia need to do is kick one straight between the two big sticks for 6 points to retake the lead. The only breathing space it really gives DC, if Philadelphia has a shot on goal and they miss, they'll give them at least a 1 point buffer. We've got probably about 7 minutes remaining here in this grand final. DC holding on by 2 points. Taken out of there by Cassie Cox. Delivers towards the half-forward flank. Doesn't quite sit well for anyone. The kick smothered by Terse. The hand pass. Pike came through. Umpire said free kick. The DC Eagles. You hear the Eagles chants going up in the distance. The Eagles supporters feeling confident. Philadelphia trying to find a consistent and direct way forward, but the time is running out. Time is not their friend at the moment. The kick is up towards the wing position. Good mark, and almost pulled over by our own teammate there, Alex Trollope. For those who have just joined us, we're in the blue, and the team in front by 2 points, the DC Eagles, assisted by players from the Des Moines Roosters, Arizona Outlaws, and the Hawaii Eagles. Taking on the team in white, with the Philadelphia Lady Hawks, marked there to Marshall of the Hawks. She's actually originally from the Arizona Hawks. We're assisting the Philadelphia Lady Hawks today, as well as players from the Boston Demons and the Baltimore Dockers. Marshall's kick is intercepted, though. And again, any DC Eagles player that takes a mark at the moment is going to chew up the maximum time they're allowed. Because if it's in their forward half, they just have to keep killing the clock, and the Division 2 title is theirs. Marshall manages to pick up the ball off the ground, though. Thought about a kick, went with a long hand pass over the top instead. Can the Hawks move it forward? Unlikely as Rice comes through. Thought there was a whistle, stopped. Then set up and went with a long kick. Barbara Dempsey takes a mark. Dempsey of Philadelphia. Under 5 minutes remaining in the grand final at the half pack. They're struggling to get past their own centre wing position. Meter was waiting for it, but Marshall just went flying through the air and took the mark. Marshall now pressing forward to try and create something for them. And she finds someone. Mark taken in front of the scoreboard. Half forward flank. As we said, they've been struggling to get past their centre wing position. They've only really done it once this half, which resulted in a goal. Can they find their way home again? Off hands. Nicholas was trying to create the pressure. Meter sees the ball over the boundary line and out of play. Of course, no time on for the ball going over the boundary line here at this level of footy, which is different to the professional level. So this is helping kill the clock for the DC Eagles every time the ball goes out of bounds. Marshall took immediately out of the ruck, shrugged off the player, got through traffic, kicked it long, and it is out of bounds. Or was it gone through for a point? We checked the goal umpire. He says, I refer to the boundary umpire, who says it's gone out of play. So the ball will be thrown back in. There's about 3.5 minutes remaining in the grand final. Can the DC Eagles hold on? The ball went out the back. Hurry snap around the corner by Terse. Into heavy traffic. Was the ball thrown out? No, it wasn't. Saki with a kick. Oh, it's off the side of the boots. And will only register as a point. It is 1 point the difference in the grand final. Could we see a draw? Will we go to extra time? That could be possible. Oh, 1 point the difference. Mark taken here by Jennings, who's pushed her way up the ground, says, I've got to take control of the situation. Goes sky high with a kick, very, very, very close to the boundary line. Mark taken by Trollope. 3 minutes to go for DC Eagles to hang on. They only lead by a point. She goes towards the pack. Dempsey flew up in the air. Meter was there, immediately caught and dumped. Hand pass came out. DC Eagles work it up the line. Hurry kick on the left into open space. Oh, it's found a Philadelphia player. They're going to switch it down the corridor. How will the ball bounce? Unkindly there for Halberstadt. It got away from her. Hand pass going backwards. Trollope got pulled down. In fact, pardon me, was Medlin. Dragged to the ground by a heat-seeking missile and Danielle Marshall. 2.5 minutes, clock's ticking. Philadelphia trail by a point. Goes inside 50. Beat everyone. Ball hit the ground. It's going to be Stacks on the pill. Can anyone get clean possession out? The umpire's pulled out a free kick. He must have adjudged throw. Oh my goodness, what a time to pull out of that free kick. And it's Cassie Cox. She's already kicked one from this position. She's looking for her second. Directly in front. The kick is flat. It's low, but it's good. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. From out of nowhere, the Philadelphia Hawks lead by 5 points. Is this daylight robbery? They didn't look like it. It looked like with 3 minutes to go, the Eagles were up the line and were going to kill the clock. But somehow, they get it down the guts. Ball in dispute. The umpire, out of the hat, pulls out a free kick and gives the lead through a free kick to the Philadelphia Hawks. Wowzers. But here's the last roll of the dice for the DC Eagles with a minute to go. They attack again. It's on the edge of their 50. Hand pass going backwards was courtesy of Niche. Now trying to get in there was Trechler. Bounced away from her. Halberstadt. Everyone's getting in there. They've got to create space. Marshall tries to create the pressure on Trollope, trying to get a kick. Oh, it's close to the goal line. Can they get it back? They can't. The ball's out of bounds. 30 seconds remaining. They need Jennings or Gleason to be able to take it out of the pack and snap it through. There's not much time. Philadelphia holding on by 5 points. Back in the play. No clear hands. Jennings didn't bend over to pick it up. She just overran it. Trollope could have been taken high. The umpires missed that. Ball's on the ground. Everyone's jumping on top of the football. Now he calls for the whistle. According to our clock, 10 seconds. Gleason has her hand up. Marshall's pointing direction. We've got it as time up. There's the hooter. Is it gone? Is it over? They're still playing on. The kick was by Cox. Was that the horn or wasn't it? It is. It's over. Oh, unbelievable finish. Here in the Women's Division 2 Grand Final at Lakewood Ranch, Florida for the 2019 United States Australian Football League National Championships. Your winners, the Philadelphia Lady Hawks, with players from the Arizona Hawks, Boston Demons, and Baltimore Dockers. 2-1-13 over the DC Eagles, 1-2-8. What a grand final!